Hey guys, welcome back to Pillbox Movies. I'm Hank, and today we're going to be watching the 1971 British crime film Get Carter. This is a film by director Mike Hodges, starring the one, the only Michael Caine. The film was not as popular during its initial release, but later became known as a cult film. Directors such as Quentin Tarantino and Guy Ritchie sung its praises in the late 90s and early 2000s, and by 2005 it had been named by Total Film the greatest British film of all time. Total Film's lists aren't great, but we'll give it that. Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with like early Michael Caine films or this like sweet spot between British New Wave and modern British movies, so I figured why not check it out. So yeah, let's watch Get Carter. And before we get started, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. I kind of think of Get Carter as being like in this tradition of like 70s more like grungy type of crime films that were reflecting, we'll say, like working class criminals, stuff like Get Carter or The Friends of Eddie Coyle, movies that Bob Hoskins was doing.
Must be a bloody contortionist. We don't want you to go up the north, Jack.
No?
Look, your brother's dead and gone. They're hard nuts up there, Jack. They won't take kindly to someone from London poking his nose in.
The police seem satisfied. Since when was that good enough?
Farewell, My Lovely, tipping the kind of noirish aspect to this. Raymond Chandler, the famous pulp author. It's an interesting depiction already of John Carter as being somebody who has kind of, he's a bit fastidious, he has kind of concerns about cleanliness, and he has apparently a lot of kind of prescriptions that he takes. A lot of depictions of him doing kind of banal, boring stuff. They've kind of dulled him down a little bit in terms of the audience's expectations, presented him as lower rung or less adept than we might be used to seeing. Immediately being clocked. And again, the use of the long zooms on the lenses in 70s films.
Mind a bidder.
His eyes are moving over.
Are you a traveller?
Definitely.
Will this do?
Yes.
What would
Very
Jesus
nice,
say?
Very nice. Was he in bad shape?
They come worse.
Doreen. All right, are you? I'm sorry about your father. Did the police say anything?
They said he was drunk.
It is really fun to see how like the zoom implemented in the 70s, like more ubiquitously in the 70s, creates different kind of ideas around framing and shooting out scenes. I mean, we definitely see this with Kubrick, but perhaps not as rigidly, I guess, as some filmmakers. But the use of zooms in the 70s allows for this kind of dimensionality that's different from a lot of films across different points in history. Like, I'm resistant to say this is exactly like Kubrick, because I tend to think of Kubrick not utilizing this specifically with his zooms, or but using it with like tracking shots, and I think of Kubrick likes like depth. He likes like going into a scene, and he uses that with tracking shots with characters like going down hallways or going down streets or going down battlefields. And there's this kind of creativity, there's this kind of element of reframing that we just saw in that camera movement, in that zoom, where it's taken from a wider shot of Carter and the morticians standing in the holding room, and then him going to meet his niece in the foyer, and it zooms in to create a different frame of them in the foyer as opposed to into the parlor room. And I just think of that as like endemic of like 70s zoom type of framing. It's a very different kind of dimensionality than like what you might see in movies in the 50s, with like what could be achieved with like a pan, like going sideways, treating the screen as like a horizontal canvas where you move from one element to another. And this is kind of like instilling a movement that's based off of depth, of going piercing into through the screen to arrive at another image. It's just interesting in terms of the ways that different decades treat the dimensionality of like of a scene, of a film frame differently, seeing different eras that treat it as a horizontal medium, seeing different eras treat it as a depth-based medium. It's cool.
We weren't sure where it was taking place, you know.
Nice of you to come.
No. Frank was a good bloke. Then he goes and does a thing like that. Bloody funny thing.
Yeah. A bloody funny thing. Margaret? Hold it. Hold it. Who killed Frank, Margaret?
Killed?
I want to talk to you later.
12 o'clock on the Iron Bridge.
They keep on showing the process for this coffin, and it's also giving that feeling of like sinking into the screen.
Well, absent friends. You don't suppose he might have done it on purpose?
Oh, Frank kill himself. Get away.
From what I'm seeing so far, Hodges, and I don't know who the editor for this is. Editor is
Gray suits you, Eric.
John Trumper.
Is he?
I think they're using interesting use of like kind of inserts or like different shots to kind of aid in the pace of it, to kind of cut up the action a little bit, but to like drive forward or inform the momentum of it. Kind of like to go back to when they kept on showing the inserts of the coffin going into the crematorium, like just these little kind of shots that may be from Jack Carter's point of view, or it may just be an assessment of the world around him, but it kind of gives these vacillating POVs that give you the sense of like an eyes darting back and forth, and it just gives a slight sense of alarm, a slight sense of looking out the corner of your eye to see if something is approaching.
Anyway. Well, I've always had your welfare at heart, Eric.
Stuff that like Scorsese uses
Besides
too.
which, I'm nosy.
Well, that's not always a healthy way to be, is it?
And you should know.
And now that Carter's engaged in a very direct and frank conversation, his like vision and the editing is like fixed right on Eric.
Good.
Making a living.
Good prospects for advancement, is there? Huh? A pension?
A lot of editing off of the eyes.
Do you know, I had almost forgotten what your eyes look like.
Cutting off of like breaks of concentration. And here, Jack Carter is especially concentrated. It's eerie, like humming sound. I wonder what it's meant to evoke. If it's meant to be in the soundtrack or if there's something else. I love this approaching the manor shit. This is like a green room.
Hey! Carter's here. I don't know.
You stupid shit, what? Who?
Sometimes I think I'll retire and just piss off to the Bahamas and let somebody else employ them. Glenda, get Jack a drink.
It was a really interesting close-up. It's like framing this mobster like on the opposite side of where he is in the wider shot. The way it's edited so far, it's kind of like purposely, but it's like kind of disorienting.
Nasty way to go.
Yes.
We're here to play cards or talk about the old days.
Blunt.
Clever side, aren't you?
Only comparatively.
Harry, I don't like to push, but could you let us know how much your hands were? I'm taking two.
And like in terms of the variation of it, when he's talking to the bearded monster, I don't know his name. It's like a direct confrontation, so it's cut and it's shot a lot tighter. And then when the other mobster tries to threaten him, they take it out in the wide. Like it's not even important. It's like not the same degree of concern or alertness.
That's right, Harry.
Harry.
You're 100. Another 100.
I know him too.
Another 100.
Sid Fletcher.
Another 100, Harry. 25-pound notes of the road.
And it's definitely of this time too, but this kind of style of conversation that's, you know, it's like Howard Hawks-ish, it's like Robert Altman-ish, this kind of crosstalk that's happening that's meant to kind of like disorient you. You don't know which line you're supposed to follow. It's very much like a mystery that there's different threads going simultaneously, and you as a detective, you as a man in the know have to find the one thread that you need to hang on to.
He was here for 4 days.
Was he?
Oh.
And this way of framing Jack where he's having the conversation with Glenda, but
Not that, Jack.
Cyril is always in frame,
Well,
as though his
Anytime.
attention is always kind of focused on him.
drop by.
You all right now?
Yeah.
I like that PVC coat.
I'm off tomorrow, so I don't suppose I'll be seeing you again. Yeah.
It's really interesting, kind of like there's these low rumbles that are happening in particular scenes. And here, I think it's the ventilation, but there's just like slightly industrial sounds that inform different scenes of tension.
Is he staying the night?
Funny.
Like when he went to the mobster's estate, there was like the sound of a generator.
Will cost you.
It's a good looking girl.
Hello?
I wish I was touching you now. Right now. Making love to you.
Completely dead-eyeing it. Gotta love Michael Caine.
To stroke you. Take your bra off.
I love this rack focus that's happening.
Hold them. Gently.
Yeah, it's a lot of or shots or like scenes that are concentrated around Michael Caine's eyes, which is a very good asset. Like Michael Caine's eyes are a really interesting kind of quality of his acting, because in a way they're kind of like dead-eyed. They're pretty dull. They're not as like sharp or focused as some other actors, but it's like it's a really interesting quality because it's kind of like shark eyes to a degree. Like they may be dulled, but they're so kind of fixed and concentrated that it creates a quality of concentration that's very different from other actors.
No, darling. Just doing my exercises.
Again, another shot that's utilizing depth to create the frame.
Word with you, Jack.
What do you want to tell me, Thorpe?
I've been asked to give you this.
it kind of feels like, we'll see where it leads, but to me, it feels like a movie that's kind of like constantly descending. You're constantly going through like a tunnel,
Who do I have to thank?
through a dark passage into the underworld.
What happens if I miss the train?
Well, I've been asked to make sure you don't. Righto, lads.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That glass is not commercial vehicle viable. They need to reinforce that shit.
There's only one trouble.
They make such beautiful use of crowded rooms. These are really, really small, like English rooms.
All right, if you like, Thorpe, we'll stop.
But it makes you, as the audience, feel kind of like constricted and claustrophobic.
Who paid you to see me off?
Well, I can't, Jack. How can I?
It's a good use of like location shooting as opposed to studio. Just like dark, violent, real.
I'm an old friend of Cliff's. I want to see him.
Bloody well tell me who sent you. You're a big man, but you're in bad shape. With me, it's a full-time job. Now behave yourself. Right?
No bueno.
You sod. Look at this, you bastard. You don't care a stuff, do you?
I'll buy you another one.
What about the lad? They took him away. What'll they do to him?
Don't ask me.
Suppose I phoned the police and told them there's a bloke staying in my hotel who's planning to shoot somebody.
You wouldn't do that?
And how do you know I wouldn't?
Because I know you wear purple underwear.
What's that supposed to mean?
Think about it.
Oh, more suggestive than I thought it would be. Good for him. What would Jesus say?
Did you sleep well?
More mobsters back to shite on working class English folk. They be humping.
What's in it, Jack? Sorry about this, Jack, but, you know, orders are orders.
And what orders would they be, Con?
Well, Gerald...
Ew.
The night.
Not the piss pot.
Said he heard you've been making a nuisance of yourself.
Oh, he's looking for his gun? Okay.
Now, take me back to London.
Now, Jack, be reasonable. You know we're going to take you back sooner or later.
Out.
Michael Caine, a hero for our times.
We'll see you when you've got your drawers on.
In. Open that door and go inside.
What are you gonna do?
We're going to sit in the car and whistle Rule Britannia.
Just have to use a little bit of cleverness and look dapper in a suit. The makings of an action hero.
They give you a rough time?
A little bit.
No. You bastard. Get knotted.
All right.
Oh wow, they did him up bad.
I want to square things with you first. I'm sorry. Here, get yourself a course in karate.
Oh! Frank said you were a shit and he was bloody well right. You even screwed his wife, didn't you? The poor bastard didn't even know if the kid was his.
Ooh. Learning more and more about Jack Carter.
I was frightened what you might do.
I don't believe you. Frank wasn't like that.
Oh man, he's gonna have just committed suicide this entire time. But Jack needs to fulfill a blood vendetta or a feeling of vengeance.
Now, who killed him?
nothing.
You bastard! Get in!
Over here, Jack! You didn't know you had a fairy godmother, did you?
How did you know where I'd be?
The Demon King waved his wand, and I was dispatched to bring you to him.
A new venture of mine. It's going to be a restaurant. I got to thinking how nice it would be if the bloke you was after was the same bloke I wanted off my back.
He's gonna be sent on a wild goose chase just to do hits for his enemy.
The arcades. One of my lads gets a little over anxious and plugs some machines to a club that's already got some.
Yeah, again the deep zoom.
I've got to eat shit. These people have offended. Get the idea that it would be a good thing to take over the whole of my outfit. So I'm worried. But I've got to fix them before they fix me. $5,000. That belongs to you. Along with a little name I'm going to give you.
What name?
Kinnear. Cyril Kinnear.
Cyril.
Kinnear did it. Do you really think I'm going to fix Kinnear on your say-so? Just because he put me under you last night? Don't think you can play the same trick?
This apocalyptic post-industrial England. After the bubble burst, all this useless real estate. These dilapidated houses and dilapidated industrial sites. All this brutalist architecture. Okay. Yeah, again, these brief insertions that bring us, like, closer into the POV of Carter. And again, like the Thomas Crown Affair, and also, like, Un Homme et une Femme, equating the driving of a vehicle to sexuality, to passion. Oh, that's interesting. It wasn't even in his head. Like, it was cutting forward. Yeah, imaginative editing style to this.
Aren't you scared? Kinnear will find out.
You won't.
Is there nudity in the Sylvester Stallone version? I can't imagine. I can't picture the last time Sylvester Stallone was in, like, a nudity film.
Does Brumby really enjoy that crap?
Especially when I played the lead.
The size of a tangerine.
It's really interesting sound design. It's like, despite the scene of intimacy, there's the sounds of the wind blowing because they're, like, in a high-rise or whatever. But it's just, like, different weird kind of unsettling sound effects to, like, make you feel like the lovemaking scene is cold or dispassionate or barren. Different kind of, like, isolating or unnerving kind of decisions made. Oh no! Oh no! It's a pedophile ring! Ah! They used Frank's daughter for sex, and Frank's daughter might be Jack's daughter. Ah! That's actually how this movie started, with pornography, so it all ties back into itself. And so he knows that his London gang, or he's going to find out eventually that his London gang has been tied in with this base of operations that Cyril is leading, because they were watching the pornography earlier. Let's do hardcore on this channel. Have you guys seen hardcore? Yeah, he's not liking this. Again, beautifully evoking Michael Caine's eyes. Michael Caine's completely still eyes. This is why you don't go digging, Jack. You might find something worse than what you had even feared. And he's gonna destroy this pornography ring, and he'll still find out that Frank had committed suicide in the end. Ooh, it hurts.
I want to give you an Oscar.
You've been watching the film.
I also like the element of this movie where it's like returning home and finding it completely overturned. It's completely like overswarmed by villainy and deceit and deception, darkness. It's This is something like you kind of generally feel going back to home, like after whatever uh, a length of time away. But like I've definitely felt this in my personal life where I go back home and it's like there's like an opioid epidemic going on. This seems like crime is like on the rise, or people are uh, getting into firefights with the cops, or there are drug rings happening. Uh, you find yourself like alienated from your hometown and being swallowed by this larger world of contamination or danger or something that seems completely beyond your control.
Tell me the truth.
The girl's name was Doreen, that's all I know.
And you didn't know her last name?
No.
Well, it's Carter. That's my name. And her father was my brother, and he was murdered last Sunday. Now get in there. Get dressed.
It's cool. I was thinking he would be like this calm, collected hero throughout this entire movie, but he's been revealed to have like enormous, like even greater stakes in this than you were expecting. And his path to vengeance is even larger than you were expecting. It's an intense kind of escalation, because for these kind of movies, like not to say like a dead sibling isn't like enough stakes or whatever, but because it's such a like a revisited trope of the genre,
He's come for Albert.
it's kind of become expected and
Sorry, I reckon.
like ineffective to a certain degree, depending on, you know, how the individual storytellers or filmmakers interpret it and kind of treat it. But this is such a kind of unexpected escalation of that intimacy, that like hitting close to homeness. It's really well fashioned and came out of the blue.
I don't know anything, Jack. Yes, you do. Talk, or I'll kill you.
And he's becoming more harried and insistent. He's not cool anymore. Like, you can see gradually further and further vengeance consumes him.
You can't get away from me, Albert.
I know.
A flaming sword of vengeance.
Got his ways. He knows Margaret.
And in some ways, this degeneration of his hometown, of his family circumstances,
No choice.
subconsciously it happened because he wasn't there, because he wasn't, you know, defending his home and hearth.
They asked me for some whiskey and started forcing it down his throat. I thought they'd just duff him up a bit, honest.
What did you do, Albert?
Nothing.
Did Eric know that Frank was my brother?
Yes, I told him.
What did he
There's a
say?
storm coming.
Good. Christ, I didn't kill him.
I know you didn't kill him. I know.
Just his vision of like of post world power England, of England in the beginnings of its decline. All of it is falling apart. The same kind of anxiety that fuels A Clockwork Orange, that fuels Blow Up, kinda, but and Party Girl. It informs Get Carter. And I'm not sure when this was like in production schedule, like when this was shot, when it was conceived, but into the 70s at least, England was about to hit like a massive economic decline, and I'm not sure when exactly, but like it would be in full throes by like 1972, so maybe it was already being felt in 1970 and 1971. I mean, like, I don't have a lot of historical basis for informing these views, but I love watching these movies that are shot in a country in a like decade of decline. like another movie feature on this channel is Cure, which was shot during like the what's called the Lost Decades in Japan, a further time of economic depression. But like movies from that era as well, like Shall We Dance and Tokyo Sonata, informed by huge economic anxieties feeding down to like regular working class citizens. And like in small ways, the script kind of leads you to at least internalize that a lot of these things have Carter at fault. That he's in some small way influenced or motivated these things to happen.
Oh, I forgot that Glenda was in the car.
It's a really desolate portrait of him. He's just losing everything as he continues on this path. Everything that makes him cool or sly or aspirational as a character is being stripped away and being replaced by revenge.
Jack, how would you have liked it if that had been your daughter being poked in that film? What would you have done then?
It's going too far. You've gone too far, Jack. It is funny, though, that this is how Old Boy starts out. I think, perhaps in a small way, Old Boy might have been deliberately quoting Get Carter. Hey, that's the same PVC coat that Doreen was wearing earlier. Just these little signs of dilapidation.
I've come for you, Margaret.
Oh, I forgot that Glenda was in the car. Oh, Jesus.
Carter. Now listen carefully, you hairy-faced git. I've got the film and enough evidence to put you away for a long time. All I want... See, I think that can be arranged.
Got something, Sil?
Take your clothes off. Take your clothes off.
Yeah, it's gotten pretty dark.
Keep your pants on. Lie down.
Is he killing her with heroin? That's bleak. That is fucking bleak.
I want you to listen very carefully. Jack Carter.
Yes.
Do you know what he looks like? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. The villainous fingernails. It's pretty late to bring in a ringer.
Yeah.
He's betrayed all of his ideals. He's even tipped off the coppers. Yeah, and the descent again, going into the screen, forward and forward. Twirling, twirling towards freedom. I see. So he killed Margaret in order to land a big enough frame, a big enough thing to stick onto Cyril. Yeah, that's nasty. That's a mean piece of business. Yeah, I really do like the editing style of this. It's very creative how it kind of intercuts between scenes that perhaps don't even have the most relationship to each other. The kind of intercutting you see in like the end sequence of The Godfather, for example, but used a little bit more, disseminated a little bit more throughout the movie. a kind of like cross-temporal or cross-geographical cutting. So he wants Eric in particular, because Eric is the one who seduced Doreen to do the porn film, and he's also the one who forced Frank to drink himself to death, and then threw him into the river.
Have a drink.
Or into the ocean.
Drink up. I want you to drink all of that. Do you understand?
Get the Skins ending. Skins Series 3, Episode 2, I think? 2 or 3? No, it would have been later down the line.
Did you all have a good laugh? Hey? You have a good laugh when he was spewing it out? Hey?
Or not Series 3, Generation 3.
Goodbye!
Yeah, between Freya and Liv. Yeah, I really adore how industrialized this movie is. Just all these... Oh, my God. Depictions of an England that's been overtaken by machinery, by metal, by steel, by just, like, things corroding in on itself. And he retreats, he disappears into the land. Nice. What a beautiful movie. I really can't imagine Sylvester Stallone doing this justice. Yeah. A couple things I was mistaken on. I think I misheard that he might have slept with not with Margaret, with Frank's previous girlfriend or wife, and might have been the father of Doreen. I also didn't presume that an ending where Frank might have just killed himself, and so his path to vengeance would have been unjustified. It's already unjustified, but more so unjustified. Yeah, what a beautiful, twisted film. Just wonderfully dark and bleak in its outlook. I think some movies that this makes me think of, like, of this era, definitely French Connection, and certainly a little bit down the line, Thriller, A Cruel Picture, which is a Swedish film that's also a revenge film. I will warn you, I really, 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 really love Thriller, but it's darker than this, and it's more graphic than this, but I think the three share the same kind of bleak outlook and the same kind of determined protagonist that eschews all sort of normalcy and common sense and decency in their pursuit of whatever it may be, whether it's the character in thrillers like revenge or Jack's revenge or vengeance, or his megalomania, or Popeye Doyle's megalomania in pursuit of, crime with a very ethnic asterisk. Yeah, this is very surprising to me, and utilized a lot of kind of techniques or style from its era that to kind of enliven it and invigorate it more so than I was expecting. The really playful use of cross-cutting editing, the kind of very spare but mechanical, like industrial sound design to this, and the use of a lot of zooms, and also, I should emphasize the use of location shooting to show the kind of decrepitness and downcastness of this London of this English town. A lot of great uses of kind of styles and techniques that were in vogue in the 70s to create a very specifically like well realized or well executed kind of like perfect usage of all those kind of techniques of that era. and like a much, 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 much better performance from Michael Caine than I really expected from him. I know him from his late career and some aspects of his early, but I usually think of him as more kind of debonair and let's say minimalist in his acting approach, and I think in this instance that gave birth to much more deranged and much more fixated, obsessive kind of performance. Yeah, this was really great. If you like Get Carter, I'd recommend French Connection, obviously, Thriller, obviously, Friends of Eddie Coyle in some regards, yes and no. Yeah, just down and dirty shit. Love it. Want to find some darker shit to watch now. Yeah, that was Get Carter. Really brilliant film. Let me know if you've seen it. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. And until next time, keep watching good movies.